नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली व नुसल्लिमु अला रसूलिहिन नबिय्यिल अमीनिल हनीनिल करीमिर रऊफुर रहीम अम्मा बाद फ़ऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम फ़ज़्कुरूनी अज़्कुरुकुम वश्कुरूली वला तकफ़ुरून सदक़ल्लाहु मौलाना अज़ीम। अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। You're listening to the Iftar show on Revive FM 94.0. Welcome to the Iftar show on Revive FM 94.0. My name is Faiza Qadri and I'm your host today. Inshallah, today the personality or the great figure in Islam we will be talking about is Hazrat Rabia Basri. Or Hazrat Rabia Basri al-Adawiyya, they say as well, Razillahu ta'ala anha. And she was a great saint, she was a great Sufi at her time. And inshallah today we will see how she spent all her life in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not only that, she actually used to teach people about the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. At her time, there was a lot of male and female who used to come to learn about the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how to do tawbah and how to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she is one of the main figure when we talk about tasawwuf, which is Hazur Sayyidina Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani rahmatullah alayh. He explained the word tasawwuf, that when we talk about Sufiya, cleaning of the heart, when we talk about spiritualism, tasawwuf is Hazur Wasul Azam Razillahu Ta'ala, he says tasawwuf, if you talk about the letters, the letter ta, it means tawbah. So tawbah is not only zahiri tawbah, like apparent tawbah, it's actually batini tawbah as well, that when you purify yourself from your inner self, your inside, so you're not just saying astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, you actually mean it, and you're doing tawbatun nasuha, meaning when you're doing tawbah, when you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive your sin, you actually mean it. You are really ashamed of what you have done, and then you promise that you wouldn't do the sin again. So the ta of the tasawwuf is tawbah, and then when you talk about swad, it means safai qalb, like to cleanliness your heart. Your heart is the main thing, where we have all these feelings, when we are happy, we feel, in our heart, we feel joyful. Na'uzubillah, if you have hasad, you're jealous of someone, or you have these grudges or things like that, you'll feel in your heart. And na'uzubillah, if we keep on doing bad deeds, our heart, there's a hadith which talks about this, that, there will be a black mark, and you keep on doing the thing, then your whole heart will be black. And at that point, so at that point, when your heart is in that condition, you wouldn't feel joy, or you wouldn't be happy while you doing the ibadah. It will be just like a physical exercise. You just standing up, then doing prostration or whatever. You wouldn't feel the barakah or the spiritual thing you're supposed to get from your salah. You wouldn't be feeling that. But if you start doing zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you start doing istighfar, you asking Allah to forgive your sins, and you really actually mean it. Not just, you just think, okay, I can do istighfar and my sins are forgiven, and then again I'll just do guna, and then I'll, do istighfar again. No. Although, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful, He's ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, that no matter how many sins you have committed, if you go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, and you promise that you wouldn't do bad things again, Allah will forgive you. So Hazrat Rabia Basri Razillahu ta'ala anha, she is a great example for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that how one should devote themselves for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she is a symbol of hope, and you can say the medium way between hope and fear. Because some people in our society, unfortunately, the case is that some people will really all the time only would talk about the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and people will get really scared, and they'll think, and they'll have the concept or the conception of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like Allah is really He will put you in hellfire, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wouldn't forgive you, and He will be really angry with you, and you will go to hellfire, Jahannam, and so you have that kind of concept. And the other extreme who will just think that, oh, Allah is merciful, no problem, you can do whatever you want, na'uzubillah, you do istighfar and Allah will forgive you. So these are both extreme. So Hazrat Rabia Basri Razillahu Ta'ala Anha, she is the founder of the introduction of the middle path, and she's the one who actually introduced the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where you do your good deeds, even your salah, your fasting, your all the other good deeds, just for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy with you. So she is the founder of that. And before we talk about her life, we all know there's so many incidents where we couldn't find the verification for that. And but we know after Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi, there's a lot of scholars who actually talked about Rabia Basri Razillahu Ta'ala Anha and her life and the conversation she had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are a lot of scholars who actually made biography about Hazrat Rabia Basri Razillahu Ta'ala Anha. So including Ibn al-Jawzi, there's quite a few names who were Sufi writers and who were scholars of Islam. So they talked about Sayyidah Rabia Basri Razillahu Ta'ala Anha. Ibn al-Jawzi, like Imam Noaim Isfahani, Abu Talib Makki, especially Hazrat Imam Ghazali Razillahu Ta'ala Anhu, or Rahmatullah Alayhi, who actually talked about her in the book Ahya Ulumuddin, where we find a lot of information regarding Hazrat Rabia Basri Razillahu Ta'ala Anha. So why are we talking about her? The question might arise. You might think, why are we not talking about Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam or the blessed companion or the blessed Sahabiyat, which we did actually talked about in the previous shows, or the Azwaj Mutahharat, Ummul Mu'mineen. Why are we not talking about them? We actually did talk about them as well. But you think, why talk about Hazrat Rabia Basri, who was who was born hundreds of years ago, and why are we talking about her? But that just shows there were so many people who will be really rich, who will be apparently great leaders or the great rulers, or there will be so many people, but we don't know about them and we don't talk about them. After all these years, we're still talking about Hazrat Rabia Basri. Why? Because the ayah I read before you is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, you do my zikr, I'll do your zikr. So this is like the tafsir or the explanation of the ayah, that all these people, or Huzur Shaykh Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani rahmatullah alayhi, and all the other friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, awliya Allah, why are we talking about them? Because they, all their life, they used to talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they used to do zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing their zikr, by making them alive in our hearts, and we're still talking about them, and we still want to get hidayah from them, because they have the great personalities and they have the great status, where Allah is saying that ala inna awliya Allahi la khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun, that they don't have any fear, and they are the people that we have to be careful when we talk about the awliya, because nowadays some people, they don't really they be disrespectful na'uzubillah towards them, and they say, oh, we don't know about their status, and why are we talking about them? There's no point, we don't know, and half of the things we can't verify. So you have to be really careful about talking the awliya, the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they didn't have fear, and they are not the one who will be sad, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them higher status, not only in their lives but afterwards as well, where people will actually see them in their dream, and they will get to know that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is treating with them with the highest regard. So Hazrat Rabia Basri Razillahu Ta'ala Anha, and some people have this understanding that they said that she was a slave girl, but that's not the case. She was, she unfortunately came to that point where she was taken and then was sold as a slave girl, but she was a free woman, and then afterwards she was free as well. Inshallah, we talk about that. She was the fourth child, and that's why in the Arab culture, it's quite common that they name them according to their number. So she was the fourth child, so that's why she was named Rabia. And Basri, we know because she was born in Basra, that's quite evident. And also they say she was called Al-Adawiya because she was from the clan of Adi. And the full name is Hazrat Rabia Basri al-Adawiya al-Kaisiya, and they say Kaisiya because she was from the tribe of Kais. So that just shows that she wasn't a slave girl. She had her own tribe, she had her family. We don't really know much about their parents and siblings and other people, but we know when she was born to a poor family where they didn't have oil even in their lamp. You know, the father was really sad. Not on the birth of Sayyidah Rabia Basri, Hazrat Rabia Basri Radhiyallahu Ta'ala anha, but generally because they didn't have any means. So he was quite sad, and he saw Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was crying and he slept, and he saw Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his dream, subhanallah. And he said, he was really happy that he has the ziyarah of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that don't be sad, because this your child, she will become a blessing for you, and she's a great blessing for the ummah as well. These type of good news he got from Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not only that, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, okay, you go to the Amir of Basra and tell him that I've sent you. And he used to recite Durood Sharif every night 100 times, and especially on Friday 400 times. So you go and tell him he forgot to recite the Durood on me on Friday, last Friday. So when he went to the Amir and he explained the whole thing, and those people who might be thinking that how is this possible, we all know the dreams are true, they hug. We know the dreams are mentioned in the Quran as well. And we know that Prophet ﷺ said that whoever sees me in the dream it is me. Like, the shaitan na'uzubillah cannot come in the form of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when he went to the Amir, and imagine this is between him and Allah, him and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No one knows that how much durood he is reciting. Like the last show we were talking about Durood Sharif, how much barakah you get when you start doing Gosha Durood or Halaka Durood at your home. How much blessing would you get? So he was really surprised, and imagine the joy. Imagine you'll get the good news. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam not only accepted your durood but sent a message for you as well. Imagine the happiness the person had at that time. And and the message was that because he forgot to recite 400 durood, he should give you 400 dinar. And this is the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps his beloveds, his friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the means how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will still keep their dignity, that they wouldn't ask anyone, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep their dignity, but at the same time would provide provisions for them. And he got really happy. He kissed his hand, and he not only given him 400 dinar, but he distributed other money to the people as well, because imagine the joy he had. So after that, obviously this is again a sign that this daughter of yours is a blessing. So they had good time and everything, but again, because he was really old and he passed away, and at the time came when Hazrat Rabia Basri was taken by someone and then was sold. And so she was a slave girl for her master. And there's a beautiful story about that, where she used to work all day. She used to work for the master, because he will tell for her to do this, that work, go far away, do this for me. And at night she will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the worship of Allah, and she will go into sajda, and she will say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, Ya Allah, you have put me in the hand of other people. If I just want to be your slave, if I was just your slave, I wouldn't spend an hour giving my services to any other person, no, any other human being or any other being. I just want to be your slave. And she used to cry, and she would talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She had that real relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where you can talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is so close to us. We don't really have that relationship, even salah, when we're reading namaz, when we're reading tahajjud, we should ask Allah, take your heart out and just ask Allah to provide us whatever we need. And, these are the munajat, these are the, you talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the kind of connection we should have with Allah when we are that close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we are asking Him. We are requesting Him, we are asking for forgiveness, we are asking for, if there is any difficulties or any other problem, we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she used to do that every day, every night. So one particular day, she was crying, she was really weeping, she was crying, and then the master, he heard her. And he was shocked when he saw Hazrat Rabi Basri in that condition, and he saw a light on top of her head, and he was amazed, he was really shocked, and he knew, okay, she's not a normal common person, she's a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had put in his heart where he decided and he said, I'll free you, you're a free woman now. And imagine, like I said, that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps his beloveds, his friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she was a free woman, and he actually even given, because he knew she's a special person, he said, I request you, if I can be your servant and you'll be my master. But Hazrat Rabi Basri, she was very focused on what she was doing. She refused to do that. She said, if you really want to make me free person, let me go. And she came back to her house, which obviously like a rundown house, and she just started living there because she wanted to just worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She never got married, and she didn't want anyone to even come in between her and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she was really you can say she was really a great scholar, because when she started teaching people, when people were coming, so she will tell them about Islam and about ihsan and about how you should have the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she was a great scholar, she was a great thinker. She will, most of the time, she will be in muraqabah and muhasiba, self-criticism. She will talk to herself, like sometime if she will just rest for a little bit, she will wake up all of a sudden and she'll say, oh Rabia, why are you resting? Are you satisfied, or do you know what's going to happen to you on the day of judgment? Are you, why are you resting? Why are you not standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why are you not in worship? So she had a great devotion, she devoted herself for the deen, for the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she was always aspiring to the hereafter. And as she was very intellectual and, always worshipping, so people slowly started talking about her, that she's a great lady, she lives here, and she's always in ibadah, and they wanted, to be in touch with her. And there was time then, Hazrat Hassan Basri, and some people say, it might not be possible because according to history that it might be another Hassan who will be at the time. But whatever the case is, we know the stories, or we know the conversation she had with Hazrat Hassan Basri radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, where at the point, because she was really pious, he wanted to get married to her. And there was a lot of other proposal came. There was Amir of Basra as well. He said, I'll give you 100,000 dinars, if you can, get married to me. And obviously everyone wanted to get married because she had this, great personality. She had this higher status when people knew she's not like a common person. But she always refused. She always, said, look, I don't have time. And she was very clever, very intellectual at the time, when people will say, and she will be really, upfront, and she'll say, do you think, do I look interested in you? Do you think I will have time to get married and have kids and do all these things? No, I wouldn't. Because she just devoted all her life in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she asked, 3 questions, either to Hassan Basri or the people who were asking her. And she said, okay, if you really want me to do what you're saying, then if you can guarantee these, or you can answer these 3 questions, okay, I'll think about it. And the very first question she asked, she said, okay, can you tell me that when I die, I'll die on Iman? Will, I have the sound faith? And they said, look, there's no guarantee, we don't know. And that's why we always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do our khatima bil iman, that, we die on iman, inshallah ta'ala. And then the second thing she said, okay, when the deeds will be given, do you know if I'll be receiving them from my right hand or from my left hand? And they said, we can't really answer that. And then the third question was, okay, on the day of judgment, which group would I be counted in? Is it the right hand people or the left hand, like those people who are going to Jannah or those people who are going to Jahannam? And they said, look, we don't know that. So she said, if you don't know that, then don't expect me to do what you want me to do. So that's how she was. She used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all that time. She used to cry and she used to have munajat. She'll talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then there's a famous quote where people kind of misunderstand that as well. And they say, Nauzubillah, she's rejecting Jannah. But it wasn't that. It was just to make people understand. Because she, as I said, she's the founder of this, introducing this true love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing the act of ibadah just for the sake of Allah. That's why she wanted people to make people understand what she's trying to say, and sometimes you have to give the example to make people understand. So she's not rejecting Jannah, so the famous quote where she said, look, she took a bucket of water and then she had fire. She said, I would want to burn the Jannah and for those people who doing the ibadah just to get the Jannah, and I want to I want to put the water on the fire, so there's no hellfire for those people who want to do the ibadah just so they can get away, or they can be escape, or they can be saved from the hell of fire of hell. So she wanted people to worship him just for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this was just like istiara, you can say. She was trying to make people understand. So she had this understanding, and she wanted people to know the true teachings of Islam. And once she had her servant as well, who always used to see her in tahajjud, and she's always praying. And people used to come, actually, those people who don't have anything, they used to come and used to eat from the house of Hazrat Rabia Basri razillahu ta'ala anha, because she knew obviously the best of the deen is it'amu ta'am. This is one of the greatest things you can do to feed people. So once, there was 5 guests who came, knocked on her door, and she only had, the servant said, the khadima, she said, I only have one piece of bread, one roti, like one piece of bread. So really, if it was one of us, we could have said, okay, just save that for us. So but we always see these people who are friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are the great personalities in Islam, who are sahabiyat, who are the companions of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They always have the empathy, and they always prefer other people. They always prefer to give. They want to do the infaq fi sabilillah. They don't want to keep it. Like Sayyidah Asma binti Abi Bakr raziyallahu ta'ala anha, when Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said don't count, she never counted, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given them more. Same with Sayyidah Rabia Basri raziyallahu ta'ala anha. She said, okay, call them and give the one bread. And after a little while, someone knocked on the door. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides you with sustenance and with rizq. When you spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with iman, with tawakkul, with reliance in God, with having a tawakkul. So when the knock on the door happened, the servant went, and she came with a pot with there was 5 pieces of bread, 5 rotis, And Hazrat Rabia Basri said, no, this is not for me, take it. The person who came, he said, look, this is my master's given you, given for Hazrat Rabia Basri. She sent them back, and then the other person came, and then they checked, and it was only 7 pieces of bread. And she said, no, that's not for us as well. Subhanallah, look at the tawakkul, and look at the iman and the reliance, and the love of God she had, love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala she had. So the third time the person comes, and he said, he's for Rabia Basri and she should keep it. She uncovered the thing, and there was 10 pieces of bread, and she said, yes, this is for me, and she kept it. And the reason she done that, because she knew, and there's a verse in the Quran as well where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, where Allah is saying, Man ja'a bil hasana falahu ashru amsalha. Like whoever comes on the day of judgment, whoever would come with one deed, they will be given of the same as 10 deeds. So she knew, if I'm giving one piece of bread, Allah will provide me with the 10 pieces of bread. So that's the tawakkul, that's the strong faith she had on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where she knew that Allah will, provide me straight away. Subhanallah. So when we are spending in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't think that if we are helping an organization like Minhaj Welfare Foundation, you're giving your sadaqah, your zakat, your, all the money in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't think that, oh, now I'm not going to have anything left. So when you give more, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you more. This is 100% true. We know that. So that's what, Rabia Basri, she done. She knew that it will happen. And so that's how Hazrat Rabia Basri was. And she had the amazing, you can say, belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what we learn from her personality is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we're doing the worship, we have to have the right intention, and we shouldn't be doing it for showing off. And when we are spending in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if you don't have that much money, it depends on your intention. Innamal a'malu bin niyyat. So it depends. If you just say, for example, if you just have £10 and if you're giving £50 in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or any less money, that would count. If your intention is right, that money would count as 50,000 or even more than that. Allah knows best, because it depends on your sincerity. You're not doing it for showing off. And the real way of doing, you can say, there's two ways, obviously. When you're doing this good deed, you're giving the money in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you tell people that's because you're trying to motivate them. You're trying to motivate them to also give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the best of the way is, the other second way is, when you're giving with your right hand, your left hand doesn't know. Meaning like no one knows about it. It's only between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine the purification of your heart you will get by doing this amal, where there is no chance of any showing off. Imagine that. So that's the kind of faith Hazrat Rabia Basri Razillahu Ta'ala Anha had. There was once she got ill, and Hazrat Sufyan Sori, there's a lot of Sufiya who used to go and sit in her company. And Hazrat Sufyan Sori Razillahu Ta'ala Anhu asked, why don't you ask Allah to, give you shifa? You're always, praying, even in this condition. And she smiled and she said, don't you know, don't you have the knowledge of the tasawwuf of Sufiya? When you come to, like we were talking about, ta, swad, wow is vilayat, and the fa is the last stage when you are fana fillah. There's obviously stages of that as well. So she said, look, if Allah wants me to in this situation, I'm happy. Why would I say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that give me shifa? So this is like it doesn't mean that when we are ill, we don't ask Allah to give us shifa. It's just because she was on a different level. She was on the, muqam of the fanayat, and the muqam where she is just devoted all herself, all her life in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't ask for it, because she's thinking, if Allah wants it, that's fine, And once I think so, because she all the time she had a shawl. Once, a person came and tried to steal it, and when he touched the shawl, he wouldn't see the exit, and when he put it back, he could see it. And Hazrat Rabia Basri woke up and she said, why are you doing that? Why would you wanna, do that with a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because they give all their affairs in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the protector. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is protecting them. And Allah is the one who is making their affairs in the best of way, which they themselves probably can't do it. And that's the tawakkul, or that's the understanding or the faith we should have, that whenever there is a matter, we should try our best. Obviously, it doesn't mean that you just sit there and don't just say, oh, I have tawakkul. No, give your 100% and then have the tawakkul. And then inshallah, see, whatever Allah gives you, just be happy with that. with the raza of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's very hard to do that. We are very, quick to criticize, and we quick to like say, oh, why me? Why Allah has done this to me? But if you can gain this thing, especially the beautiful moments of Ramadan, where, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving the protection from the hellfire, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving His rahmah, then inshallah this is the best time to gain all these blessings, inshallah ta'ala. So there's so many other stories, amazing stories regarding Sayyidah Hazrat Rabia Basri raziyallahu ta'ala anha, but we are short of time again. Inshallah next time when we talk about that, we'll try to cover those amazing things as well. But just to finish, the lesson we learn from the life of Hazrat Rabia Basri is the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never forget, always give priority to your salah, to your, deen. That should be the priority. Because if you do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make other affairs easier. But if you try to give more time to other affairs or the dunya, then it's just dunya you'll get. Because obviously whoever does hard work, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them, the ajr or the reward, no matter if it's Muslim, non-Muslim, whoever it is. But if you really want to get the reward of hereafter, like Hazrat Rabia Basri, she was always thinking about the hereafter. So if we want to do that, like when she died as well, she done her own, ghusl, and she said, don't tell anyone and make me buried at night. The haya she had, the modesty she had. And when people find out in the morning, they were saying, oh, we didn't know it happened. And even the fact when she was dying, the people were around her, and she said, look, you can go now, make space for the angels because they're coming. And people could hear the shahada, and people could hear, how, the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving her the glad tidings. People could hear the angels, saying that you have, pure and blessed soul, Allah is razi with you. So this is Hazrat Rabia Basri. So inshallah we should make our preferences right, always prefer your deen, and inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, if we make it better, if we do good for the hereafter, Allah ta'ala will make our dunya better, inshallah. So this is a lesson that we learn from Hazrat Rabia Basri. So always worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, always love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obey Him, and devote yourself for the deen, for the ita'ah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I do dua that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those people who are pleased with Allah, and Allah is pleased with them, inshallah ta'ala. Whatever good I've said is all from Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Hazur Sayyidi Shaykhul Islam Dr. Muhammad Tahir al-Qadi Maddazillah al-Ali. And if I have said anything wrong, is only from me, from myself, and Allah asks forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that may Allah forgive me and make us, whatever we said, make us to act upon it, first ourselves and then to other people as well, inshallah ta'ala. Wa ma alayna illa al-balagul mubin. And inshallah we'll end with a short dua. Astaghfirullah al-azim allazi la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum wa atubu ilayh. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa barik wa salli wa sallim alayk. Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa illam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna minal khasirin. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar wa qina azabal qabri wa qina azabal hashri wa qina azabal mardi wa qina azabal mizan. Allahumma a'inna ala zikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. Allahumma ajirna minan nar. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-afiyah. Ya Allah, we ask you to accept our fast. Ya Allah, we ask you to accept our ibadah. Ya Allah, shower your blessing on the ummah of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Ya Allah, we ask you to give shifa to those people who are ill. Ya Allah, remove the difficulties of the people who are in problems. Ya Allah, enable us to pray 5 times a day. Ya Allah, grant the risk those people who don't have the means to get the risk. Ya Allah, bless all the Muslim ummah of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqihi wa nuri ashi wa zinati farshi Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin bi haqqi la ilaha illa Allah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
This iftari is sponsored by London Pizza Depot, Taj Grill and Cameron Adams.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ومولانا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم إني لك صمت وبك آمنت وعليك توكلت وعلى رزقك أفطرت. وصلى الله تعالى على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله في الأولين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه في الآخرين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت سيدنا ومولانا محمد الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
This Iftari is sponsored by London Pizza Depot, Taj Grill and Cameron Adams.
Thinking of selling or letting your property? Need someone reliable to find the best prospect for your home? Well, look no further. Cameron Adams is here to take care of all your needs. Our professional and experienced team will guide you through the entire process and ensure you find the right client for your property. For a no-obligation quotation, contact us now on 0208 558 2000. That's 0208 558 2000. Or visit us at 30